Welcome to Tea Dilly, where we cheer to educated conservative conversation and values. My name is Christy McLaughlin. You can call me Christy. President Trump, over the last 4 years, has delivered the United States with a booming economy. Despite the fact that there was a coronavirus pandemic, where the Democrats were pushing shutdowns, closing small businesses, which resulted in people becoming unemployed, President Trump actually maintained a steady economy. We have the lowest unemployment for women, for African Americans. There are unprecedented support for small businesses, all thanks to President Trump. I find it very sad when I see fellow millennials and Gen Zers support Joe Biden, despite the fact that Joe Biden intends to remove President Trump's tax cuts, increase taxes, and create a new world order of a socialist economy in the United States. Many young people think that they won't be affected by the removal of these tax cuts or the tax increases on wealthy people. But the real issue is the trickle-down effect, in which larger businesses will start to furlough or lay off many workers because the cost is too much, or prices are going to increase all throughout the country. The economy is likely to topple if Joe Biden were to become president. With me today, I have John Delemy. He is a great patriot. He is the founder of the Conservative Business Journal. He supports our president, and he will be discussing why we need to re-elect President Trump and avoid a socialist agenda. All right, hi friends, I'm here with John Delemy. He is the founder of the Conservative Business Journal. He is an economic expert, and he's going to be sharing with us. First of all, John, I would like to know what your opinion is on the state of affairs right now with this presidential election.
The Democrats and the socialists, the radical left, have tried to steal the election. And I want to thank you, Christy, for doing what you're doing. You're out there sharing the truth. You're out there sharing the real news. It takes confidence and courage to step out and really speak the truth. This election, and I call it the Biden scam. You know, the word scam is defined as an orchestrated effort by individuals to rob, steal, or kill or destroy something of integrity. And, you know, we here at the Conservative Business Journal, our creed is, you know, we're here to uphold the conservative values of honesty, hard work, and integrity. Three things a radical left socialists do not have. So the state of affairs right now is they're trying to manipulate. They're trying to become con artists of our voting system. And the most valuable asset we have, Christy, is our vote. You know, the Constitution separates this country from any other country in the world. You know, the New World Order's worst enemy is the Constitution of the United States of America. And one voter fraud is one too many. And I want all your listeners to understand that. Just one voter fraud is too many, because they're stealing your vote. My dad is 91. He's a veteran. My mom's 89 and married 70 years. You're not going to steal my vote, my mom's vote in Pennsylvania, you radical left lying thief. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan. It's 7 states, not one county, 7 states of people who dislike Donald Trump and dislike you and dislike me because we're conservatives. So that's my little rant about the state of affairs.
Well, I 100% agree with you, though, because even if there's only one circumstance of voter fraud, it is fruit of the poisonous tree.
That's right.
We have an election system right now that allows voter fraud to undermine the voice of American citizens. And it is just completely detrimental to this country. It's detrimental to the foundations that this country is founded upon, including the Constitution. Now, you and I both outwardly support the president. We have been great advocates for the president because he speaks for this country unabashedly. And he has had a booming economy for the last 4 years, despite the coronavirus pandemic. You're an economics expert. Why is it so important that we get President Trump reelected for a second term?
Because capitalism and the economy is the driving force of this country. It allows people to innovate, allows people to produce, it allows people to produce a product. It gives people confidence. They can work hard, earn income. See, socialism is the antithesis of capitalism. Socialism steals opportunity. capitalism creates opportunity. You know, the whole China virus, you know, China, first time ever, President Trump put the sanctions and tariffs on China, because President Trump works for you, Christy, works for myself, and works for all of your listeners. President Trump's the first president who put Americans' priorities first, and the economy is everything. Without the economy, we become a socialist regime, and that's the problem with the millennials, is they really don't have any vested interest in the economy. They don't understand the draconian governors. You know, I call Cuomo, communist Cuomo, de Blasio, dictator de Blasio. Look at Michigan, look at Oregon, look at Washington. Look, here's the bottom line. They want to drive the businesses out, so people are on government money, which is a control. So the economy is everything. So all of you that have a dream, step out, start your business, launch your business, and take advantage of what's going on now, because the economy is everything. And President Trump is a capitalistic economic expert. That's why he treats the America like a business, like an economy. I only watched Obama once. I watched Obama once in May 2011 when he eliminated bin Laden. I knew that Obama was going to be the worst president ever. Remember, he's never earned an income. You know, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Mayor Pete, Biden, Kamala Harris, and I stammer, they've never earned income. They have no idea what it is. For all your listeners, realize that their income's not affected when they try to, you can't tax yourself to prosperity. Joe Biden's economic plan would destroy this country. He wants to put a mask mandate lockdown. He is demonic. He's working from the bowels of hell, and that's principalities and power through him. It's just the fact that I believe we're in a Gideon season. You know, God called 30,000 warriors and 300 stood up. And most Republicans are rhinos. That's why some of them saying stupid things about Trump now, because they're showing their character. So without capitalism, without the economy, we're done. But that's the driving force. You can't steal the American enthusiasm. You can't steal the fire of a dream. God gives us dreams. God gives us vision. And our vision and dream comes to fruition through people produce a product and innovate. And a matter of fact, I have my book here. I've written a book, Making Capitalism Great Again, how to maximize America's booming economy, plus the ABCs of socialism versus capitalism. And when I talk about right here, when I say capitalism, America was built in capitalism. Capitalism is the freedom to produce, the freedom to dream, the freedom to risk, the freedom to fail, and the freedom to learn. It's the freedom to be all God wants you to be. It's the freedom to take his talents and utilize them. Freedom is the foundation of our United States Constitution, which the radical left wants to destroy the Constitution. Well, guess what? There's champions like Christy. There's champions like myself and all your listeners who will stand strong, who will step over like David said to Goliath, look, here's the bottom line. I'm not only going to kill you when I cut your head off, I'm bringing it back to your other buddies and saying, look, this is what I've done. I believe we're in an Old Testament warrior time right now.
Absolutely. And I think it was very funny how you mentioned just a little bit earlier that millennials don't understand the ditch that they're digging themselves into by voting for socialism. Now, I can speak to this on a certain level because although I'm not a millennial, I'm actually a Gen Z. I'm just a little bit younger than a millennial. I'm 25. I see it so many times among my peers. I'm a 25-year-old who just graduated from law school. I have student debt. And when I see so many young people push for socialism, push for government handouts, they don't realize how damaging it will be in the long run, especially when they want to heavily rely on tax increases of the wealthier population, but they don't realize that there's a trickle-down effect. So even if, for example, there's so many people saying, with Joe Biden's tax plans, you don't need to worry if you don't have the actual income that it's going to affect. But you certainly do need to worry. Right. Because those corporations are going to automate. If there's a raise in minimum wage, which unfortunately the state of Florida voted in favor of a minimum wage raise to $15, which I think is going to be very damaging to the economy. But it's the businesses that are going to automate. People will lose their jobs. Prices are going to increase in order to accommodate this new world order that Joe Biden is likely going to implement. So what is your message to those people who so willingly voted for Joe Biden? And worst case scenario, in our wildest dreams, what if Joe Biden does become president? What can we expect in the next 4 years with his radical plans and the effect on the economy that it will have?
America's done. The beacon of light that we are, Joe Biden ever gets in, it's over. And it's 2 words, Judge Amy.
Yeah.
Supreme Court, Judge Amy. And I want to congratulate you on being a lawyer. And obviously, you know, my wife's name is Christy. She's also an attorney. My wife's got more degrees than a thermostat. She got like 16 different degrees, one being a lawyer. So she's a very intelligent young lady. And when everyone listening, this is very important. And this is a glass of water I have in my set when I'm doing all my shows, my interviews, and it's filled up right now. But I keep sipping it, it's going to be empty. You see, you can't tax your way into prosperity. Joe Biden's plans would destroy this country. You cannot tax your way into prosperity. And the millennials do not understand you have a right earning. It's like when you plant a seed, you nurture the soil. Someone who owns an apple orchard has a right to earn income when people come to their apple orchard to pick apples, get 50-pound bushels of apples, and you pay for that. You have to nurture the seed. You have to nurture the soil. You have to put your time, and you have to go through seasons of rain and storms and struggles to build a business. And, you know, in the spirit of the Bible, and for all of you who may not be believers, I'm just going to talk about something about faith. And we're in a Gideon season, and we're in a faith season that, you know, you can't tithe. You can't become a tither. And I actually wrote, I think you're 25, you just said, Christy, right?
Yes.
I wrote my first book when you were 4. Okay? This book was 21 years. I wrote this 21 years ago. And in chapter number 3, I talk about the habit of giving and tithing. And you can't tithe if you don't earn. It's the devil's plan. It's a new world order, because if you can't use God's talent to produce, you can never become an asset to society. And for all the millennials, you have to ask yourself a question. Would you want to go to dinner with Bernie Sanders? Would you enjoy, you know, having a cup of coffee with Bernie Sanders? Would you really trust Elizabeth Warren? Would you want your kids around Joe Biden standing on stage, rubbing his white, hairy legs? I mean, the guy's a freak show. And for the, you know, I'm 55 years young, and I'll tell you right now, that guy's a nut job. He's a nut job. Kamala Harris is probably the most disliked female ever in America. You know, when I go live, I have millions and millions of views on my shows when I do my shows live. And I ask the women, because if I say it, it'll be a unique statement. I ask the woman, what do you think of Kamala Harris? And he just go crazy. So for all the millennials listening, you don't understand yet about America. Read the Constitution. Or I tell them, here, do me a favor. I'll pay for the ticket. Go to Cuba or Venezuela for just a month. Go live in Venezuela for a month. Go enjoy Venezuela, because eventually when you drink out of the cup of prosperity, it empties. If you don't fill it up, there's nothing to drink from. And that's what's going on right now in all the Democratic cities. I mean, New York City's obviously in my accent. I'm born and raised. I'm from New York originally. And de Blasio is a dictator. He's destroyed New York City. He's destroyed it. And the whole issue too is they want to get to the food chain. There's a lot in the capitalism economic process, is that if you get to the food chain of America, you know, there's so much money being generated from the farmers and the food and the produce and the harvest. See, socialists are very they're very con artists. They're conniving. You know, the spirit of witchcraft to talk about in the Bible. They manipulate. It's witchcraft. And to get people to think. And that's why Nazi Germany, the first thing they did was take books away from people, because they didn't want their mind to learn. Because what you learn, you start to believe, you start to change your thought process, you start to speak, you start to act. So what they're doing right now is, and this is, everyone pay attention here. When you shut restaurants down, you're shutting down a multi-billion-dollar industry in America and literally the world of food. So what did they go at? They're going after this COVID, which is right from China, to China virus, Wuhan virus, Bill Gates, Fauci, all of them tied in. There's a reason why 60 days in, they had all the PPE equipment in China. Our economy was the best ever in American history. China the worst. What can we do? What can we do? All of a sudden, biochemical warfare begins. I respect the virus. I know people who've had it. I know people who've passed away from it. So I do respect the virus, but it was brought here from China. But the virus is a virus, but they're using it as a ploy to shut the economy down, going to the restaurants, shutting the food chain down, and getting everybody dependent on government money. For all the millennials listening, where does the money come from in the government? It will run out. It ran out in Cuba. It ran out in Venezuela. I mean, it runs out. So be very careful about the manipulation. And just once again, ask yourself, would you take a leisurely ride in a car, especially all the females? Would all the females take a leisurely ride in the car with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden? Would you like to have a day with Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders? Let's be realistic. Or would you like to have a conversation with Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris, or hang out with Mayor Pete? I mean, let's be, we get to a point, and I'm glad to hear what young age you are and all your listeners, because if one person hears this and they say, well, Delemy's intense, he's pretty strong, but you know what? He's getting me to think a little out of the box. The money runs out. I mean, the money runs out. The coronavirus right now in Michigan and Oregon, I mean, they're going to potentially go in people's houses and break up Thanksgiving. That's the Constitution. You can't do. You have to rise up. For all the business, rise up, build your business, stand strong. Do not allow them to control you. So I get real strong about that, because Joe Biden would destroy this country. It will be destroyed. Just take a look at the anarchy of Oregon and the violence of Chicago. Remember, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they are supporters of Joe Biden. I know you were at the MAGA march in DC, and Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they are Joe Biden supporters. They are pure Marxist group. They hate the red, white, and blue. They hate the flag. They hate the cross on my heart. They hate America. And that's why we have to stand up against them.
And it's, to me, you're very strong, and that's a good thing. That's what we need. We need patriots like yourself to be constantly fighting for our rights, because you mentioned the burning of the books. I am looking at the media and social media platforms manipulate and propagandize to such an extent that they have censored conservative voices, conservative perspectives, and they censor the allegations, the legitimate allegations of voter fraud so extensively that, to me, this is the new age of burning of the books. They're burning information. Right. And my family is Cuban. They are the firsthand victims of what socialism can do to a country. My great-grandma, for example, they seized her home. They froze her bank account, and she had to sew dollar bills into the hem of their pants. And that's all they could take with them when they escaped to the United States. And that is the potential of what we could dive into with the Joe Biden administration.
When was that, Christy? So you're 25. Are your grandparents alive to this day?
Yes, so my great grandma, she's 102 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, she's still kicking, and she came
awesome.
in 1961 to New York City.
102 years of age. Wait, you know what that deserves?
What?
That deserves a standing ovation, round of applause here in the auditorium. And let me get out my standing ovation app right now. So this is for your grandmother's 102 years young.
Yep.
God bless her. That is awesome. So this is for your grandmother right here. There we go. Standing ovation. Phenomenal.
She's one of my closest friends, and that's why I've learned to be so conservative. But I also wanted to ask you, you mentioned rhinos previously. I 100% agree with you. Rhinos, I in fact think, are probably more dangerous than the radical leftists. Mm-hmm. The radical leftists are a known danger, but the rhinos are more subtle. They like to undermine the president behind closed doors, behind his back, and they try to manipulate people by claiming to be conservative when they're not maintaining those values. So what is the impact that they have on the economy and the state of affairs with the coronavirus?
I mean, they're the most dangerous animal in the swamp. I call them the rhino. Republican in name only. And they're very dangerous because they're really two-faced. You know, because Republicans and conservatives, you know, President Trump brought back the patriot American spirit. He brought back making America great again. He brought back the red, white, and blue. He brought back standing for the flag. And I don't watch sports at all. You know, there's no question the NBA is in bed with Beijing, China. The NFL, I love when President Trump called the football out. I mean, there's no question about it. The rhinos they're political pundits. I mean, they get paychecks from the government, and they have people behind them. You know, when you talk about the media, obviously I own and operate the Conservative Business Journal. We have about 20 contributors and for those of you, and obviously your age bracket, 25, 30, 35, you understand Alexa ranking. Alexa ranks all websites on traffic. Our US Alexa ranking today was 18,000. So we have millions and millions of traffic to our site, visitors. We are the fastest growing conservative news outlet because we're very strong, and rhinos are deadly. Some things that some people, that Republicans have said, they're two-faced. You got to be all in for President Trump, Mike Pence, the first lady, the second lady, and the administration. And for all those going, I want President Trump to tweet more. I want him to hit them more. It's a war. It is a war. I've interviewed on my podcast series 215 influencers, from Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich to Judge Jeanine Pirro to Liz Wheeler, Dana Lash, and Mike Lindell and Charlie Kirk. And we turn to what, 4 interviews today, right? Where you have to be all in. And I will check someone's Twitter feed. I will go to the social media. I want to see their heart. And rhinos are deadly. And God, I always say, God will promote you publicly when he could trust you privately. And what people do privately is being exposed right now. And President Trump right now, this is the ultimate chess game. This had to happen with election fraud. There's so much fraud going on. I tell people, who was the one that bought the Sharpies in Arizona?
Right.
Who was the one that went out and bought the plywood in Michigan? They were all criminals. So that's why voter fraud. It's because if we lose the right to vote in America, we become Venezuela. As you know, the whole Dominion Hamlin scorecard voting software system is used in Venezuela. You go in and you vote. They make a difference. You go in, they're going to choose the dictator anyway. So the rhinos of every single Republican, conservative Republican, should be standing up and saying they should be behind Rudy Giuliani. They should be behind Sidney Powell. And also, everyone have to realize that the way God works, Rudy Giuliani, he did the biggest arrest, the biggest prosecution of the mafia. And what do they call them, Christy? The mob. Yeah. Right? What is he after right now, Christy? The mob. Yeah. And I've interviewed, we were just on the phone with someone with the FBI right before you began this recorded interview. And we just released something about Pennsylvania, where there's voters over 120 years of age voting and under 18, right? Under 18. So the mob's going to get exposed. And the rhinos, to me, there's a changing of the guard in the country, especially for all of you of your age, 25, 30, 35. You want to get into politics? Be an American. You want to get into media? Be strong. And you're going to have people who went out like you. And you see, what? I talk about specialized niche. You have to specialize. What's your niche? My niche is Americans, patriotism. We love the flag, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-Israel, pro-conservative judges. I knew Obama was part of the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, he was bowing down, apologetic, gave $160 billion to Iran. I mean, that is brutal. $1.6 billion in cash. And Biden was part of that program. So, and those are the rhinos. I mean, the rhinos, obviously, within the Biden-Obama era, there was, the Republicans get some spine. They did nothing for so long. They had some power and did nothing because they're just so afraid. So that's my rhino rant.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, John, for being with me today. Can you please tell the viewers what is the website address that they can find you and the name of your most recent book?
Sure. The website you guys can go to is cbjrealnews.com. For Conservative Business Journal, CBJ. It's Conservative Business Journal, CBJ, Real News with an S, realnews.com. And on there, you will see there is a library of episodes. I've interviewed 200 plus some of the greatest influencers in the world in my podcast series. And you'll see a link back to our main site, conservativebusinessjournal.com. And then this is my most recent book, Making Capitalism Great Again, How to Maximize America's Booming Economy, plus the ABCs of Socialism versus Capitalism. It's available everywhere books are sold. It's a war. And I want to thank you, Christy, for being 25 years young and reaching out and having these interviews and really getting a word out, and just may God protect you. May God provide for you and show you favor, because you're walking into some serious territory as a young lady, as a Cuban, as an attorney, as a female. And I want to commend you for doing that. It's powerful.
Thank you so much. It's just, like you said, it's God's work when you take up the mantle to defend this country. Someone's got to do it. And that's what we're here. You're doing it. I'm doing it, and I know a lot of patriots who are at the Million MAGA March.
That's right.
And that we're doing it also. So
I was just looking here because I have my dad's jacket over there in my studio here. My dad's 91. It's his original military jacket. So you can show this to your grandma. What do you call it? You call her Nana? What do you call her?
I'm sorry?
What do you call your grandmother? Grandma or Nana?
We call her Paki.
What is it?
We call her Paki.
There you go.
Q-U-I.
You don't want me to try to say this. So This is my dad was this is when he was 19 in the military,
Oh,
1955.
I love that. That's
And this is
beautiful.
original jacket. He's 91 and it fits him today. So
Oh, that's so sweet. And
he
so
would love.
we're not only representing ourselves, future generations, but we're also representing the values that your father, my great grandma have that have maintained this
That's
country.
right. 102. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome. Thank you.
in the link for your website in the description for this video. Again, this is John Delaney. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christy.